What do hiring managers really look for in a junior developer? Imagine landing your very first software job in tech just a few months after learning the code without a fancy degree or years of experience. It sounds almost too good to be true, but I've seen it happen over and over in my business. In fact, I was in your shoes not too long ago, and today I run a coding bootcamp that has helped over 100 students transition to tech careers. We've partnered with over 50 companies, including big names like Grab and OCBC Bank, to place our graduates. I even had the surreal honor of our school being named one of the top 10 most innovative coding centers in Malaysia, with features on press like Astro, BFM, and The Edge showcasing our work. But let's be real here, because none of these accolades really matter unless we deliver real results for you, the aspiring developer. Hey, my name is Deric, and I am the founder of Sigma School. Just a few years ago, I quit my job and spent 6 months obsessively learning to code. It wasn't easy. I struggled so much and I felt super lost at times. And my study schedule would have made any 40-hour work week seem light. That's how much time I spent in it. By the end, something clicked. I found myself helping friends with CS degrees on their coding assignments, and even landed a couple of small software projects as a self-taught software developer. And this entire experience opened up my eyes, because I realized that you don't need a computer science degree to solve real problems, which is what we're talking about today. And what you need is the right approach and the right mindset. Fast forward to today, I haven't actually became a full-time software engineer at a big tech company. Instead, I use my coding skills to build businesses, and I've hired junior developers. I've worked with senior engineers. I have a team of 10 software developers under me now. I even built an AI-driven hiring platform startup. So I've been on both sides of the table. I've been the anxious beginner and the guy across the table interviewing candidates. And in this sharing today, I just want to share about what hiring managers truly value in junior developers. And we'll break it down from first principles, as my hero, Naval Ravikant, would approve, sprinkle in some real world stories and give you a game plan for your next 6 to 12 months in tech. And by the end, you will know how to impress any hiring manager and accelerate your coding career, all while staying humble and curious, all without a uni degree. So before we list out the qualities, let's put ourselves in the hiring manager's shoes, right? Why do companies hire juniors at all? Why don't they just go straight to the seniors, right? So think about it from a first principles perspective. A company has a problem to solve. That's how they make money, right? They have a problem to solve, or they have a product to build, and they're bringing you in to solve problems and deliver value, and they make a profit on top of the value, right? Sounds simple, right? And here's the issue, right? Because you, the junior developer, you're raw. You might not be immediately productive on day one itself. In fact, the team is investing time to train you, mentor you, and get you up to speed. And that investment is a huge one. Sometimes months of your teammates' efforts just to bring you from being a newbie to a contributing team member. So what's on a hiring manager's mind is this? Is this person worth the investment? Will they grow and eventually pay back by being an awesome contributor? And think about it, the managers, they're not just looking at your coding skills, they're imagining the future. They're as scared of you quitting early as you are of getting fired. And because if you leave after 6 months, they've basically lost all of that training effort. A VP of engineering friend of mine told me that their goal was 100% retention, right? Every junior who leaves too soon, it feels like a personal loss. So they want someone who will stick around, continuously learn, and become valuable over time. And keep this in mind, hiring is ultimately an exercise in risk management. The manager is asking, does this candidate have the skills and the attitude to eventually solve our problems? And can I bet on them to grow rather than to give up? When you approach it this way, it demystifies the process. It's not about trick questions or making you jump through hoops for fun. It's about finding signals that you will be a great long-term investment for the company and for the team. And with that perspective in mind, let's break down the specific traits and skills that signal, hire me, I'll make your life easier to a potential employer. So here are a few qualities that I want to talk about, right? Hiring managers might have different detailed preferences, but almost all of them look for some combination of the following 5 qualities in a junior developer. These are the areas you should focus on in your first 6 to 12 months learning and working in tech. Number 1, it's solid fundamentals and problem-solving abilities. Can you think through a problem methodically, right? This is the core of software development. No matter which language or framework or tools that you use, you need a foundation in how coding works, data structures, basic algorithms, how web apps operate, how the internet works. Managers often use coding tests or whiteboard challenges, not to see if you memorize some obscure algorithm, but to observe your problem-solving process. So for example, at our company, we sometimes give an assignment that we know you won't fully complete in the time given. We're more interested in how you approach it. Do you break the problem down into smaller pieces? Do you ask clarifying questions? Do you stay calm and methodically debug when you hit a blocker? If you get stuck, do you show the ability to Google or use documentation? One experienced VP said the biggest difference between a senior and a junior developer is that the senior knows how to quickly look up things that they don't know. In other words, it's fine to not know everything. No one knows everything, right? 90% of your job is researching anyways, right? But you should demonstrate that you can figure things out. You can start building this skill early. When learning, focus on understanding why the code works, not just copy and pasting solutions. Embrace small coding challenges and practice thinking out loud as if you're explaining your solution. And this trains you to be comfortable with problem solving, which is exactly what employers need. Remember, at the end of the day, a junior developer who can solve a bug or implement a simple feature reliably is worth their weight in gold to a T. Next point would be the willingness to learn and to adapt, which is basically the growth mindset. No one expects a junior developer to know it all. In fact, many hiring managers prefer a candidate who admits when they don't know something, but is eager to learn over someone who pretends to have all the answers. Showing a growth mindset and coachability is key here. In practical terms, be upfront about what you can do, about what you know, and what you don't know. And then demonstrate how quickly you can learn. I always tell my new students or junior developers, do not panic if you feel like an imposter. Let your potential employer know how to handle unfamiliar territory. You might say in the interview, I haven't used XYZ library yet, but I've learned similar technologies and I am confident that I could pick this up quickly. Better yet, give an example of a time you taught yourself something on the fly. Hiring managers like to hear things like, I struggled to build a small React app at first, but I kept at it. I read the docs, I watched the tutorial, and in 2 weeks, I built a little to-do app with it. This story basically signals to the employer that you are a person who's able to adapt. You won't give up when faced with a challenge. In your first 6 to 12 months, make it a habit to continuously push into new territory, whether it's a new programming language, a new feature, or a new tool like an AI code assistant. Prove to yourself and to others that you can learn rapidly and independently. Junior developers who show that you're hungry to learn will always catch a manager's eye. The third thing that I want to talk about will be on building real projects and taking initiative, which is to understand that theory and practice are completely different beasts. One thing I learned from role models like Peter Levels, who is the guy who is a one-man startup machine, Google him by the way, is that building something real teaches you more than any textbook, and it impresses others. When I'm hiring or mentoring, I always look out for juniors who took initiative to build projects, even smaller ones, whether it's a small personal website, a little game, or a tool that solves a personal problem. A project is a proof that you can apply your skills on. It also shows passion and drive. You're not just doing it for the bare minimum classwork, you're going above and beyond. And one of my early mentors told me, makers make it, meaning those who actually make things tend to succeed. Managers see a project and immediately know, okay, this person can set goals and they can follow through. For example, one of my first coding bootcamp graduates was really interested in fitness. So he basically built a basic workout tracking app and put it up on GitHub. It wasn't a complex app by any means, but in interviews, employers lit up when they saw it. It was a tangible evidence of his skills and enthusiasm. It shows personality. Taking initiative can also mean contributing to open source or writing a technical blog about your learning journey. These things are not required, but they really do set you apart in the sea of developers today, right? They provide social proof that you're not just going through the motions, you genuinely care about understanding code and writing beautiful code, right? If you're in your first few months of learning, set a goal to build at least 1 or 2 portfolio projects that you can proudly talk about. You don't need 100, just 1 or 2 really good ones. It could be as small as a neat to-do list app with a twist or a script that automates part of your previous job. The key is to have something you can demo. It's the classic show, don't tell, right? Instead of just saying, I know JavaScript, you can say, I built this JavaScript app that helps my friends schedule our gym workouts, and that is music to a hiring manager's ears. The next one will be communication and teamwork, which is a very underrated skill among new developers. I get it, when you're starting out, you're focused on technical skills, writing code, passing interviews, building your GitHub profile, but consider this, coding is actually a team sport. You won't be hacking in a basement alone. don't, chances are you won't be, right? You will be collaborating with product managers, designers, senior developers, or maybe even clients. So hiring managers look for people who can communicate clearly and positively. Can you explain your thought process? Do you ask questions when requirements are unclear? Are you able to give and receive feedback politely? One famous quote by Basecamp's founder Jason Fried is, if you are trying to decide among a few people to fill a position, hire the best writer. Why? Because clear writing is a sign of clear thinking. Great communicators make great developers, and they produce readable code. Helpful documentation will be created by them, and fewer misunderstandings in the team. You don't need a Shakespeare, right? But do work on communicating your ideas. Something as simple as writing a decent README for your project, or a short blog post about what you learned this week can demonstrate your communication chops. And in an interview, instead of giving one-word answers, try to talk about your approach as if you're working with your interviewer to solve the problem. Show that you can collaborate. Also, always be humble and personable. Tech companies want team players, people who are confident in their abilities, but also empathetic, willing to listen and learn from others. A humble, eager attitude in a junior developer is like a breath of fresh air on team. Personally, I personally enjoy boxing a lot, and one thing it's taught me is the importance of staying calm and coachable even when you're taking hits. In a team setting, you will take a few metaphorical punches. Code reviews can be tough. If you can handle criticism, bounce back, and keep a generally positive vibe, managers will feel confident in bringing you on board and training you further. Next would be your reliability and your passion for the mission. Are you on mission, right? This one is a bit less tangible, but incredibly important. Reliability means managers know that they can count on you to do the right things. Do you show up on time, right? Or log in on time for remote work people? Do you consistently put in effort even when the task is tedious? Essentially, are you professional and dependable? Early on in your career, building a reputation for reliability is huge. It can be as simple as meeting the deadlines that you set for yourself, or communicating proactively that if you can't, that's so important, right? For example, if you're supposed to finish a feature by Friday and you realize you will not be able to do by Friday, a reliable, good staff, a good junior, a good employee will speak up before Friday and say, hey, I'm running into some issues. I might need until Tuesday to get this done. Is that okay? This level of ownership is something hiring managers cherish a lot. It shows integrity alongside reliability is a genuine interest in the work or mission. You don't have to declare undying love for the company and say things like, oh, you were meant for this, you were born for this. You don't have to do that, right? But you should show that you care about the product or the industry. Managers often ask, why do you want to work here? And precisely to gauge this question, right? If you've done a little homework on the company, you can speak to what excites you about their work. You set yourself apart from candidates who just want a job, any job. And one of my role models, Naval Ravikant, emphasizes authentic enthusiasm, right? Being genuinely interested will carry you way further than just going through the motions. And I've observed this firsthand. We had a student who was passionate about education technology, which is one of my other startups in HR and education technology. She attended every optional workshop that we offered about the industry context, not just coding. When it came to time for placements, she clicked instantly with an ed tech company because she spoke their language and cared about their mission. She got hired over others with better technical skills because the team said she gets what we're trying to solve here. She gets what we're trying to do here. So find an angle for yourself. Even if you're transitioning from another field, your unique background can become a strength. Maybe you were in finance. Fintech companies might value that domain knowledge along with your coding skills. Show that you are personally invested in the problems that the company is trying to solve. And it actually signals to them that you're likely to stay. It signals to them that you're more motivated, that you would be willing to put in the work to go the extra mile. And that is exactly what every hiring manager wants on your team. Now, take a step back and look at these 5 focus areas that I mentioned. Do you notice something? None of them requires you to be a genius or to have 10 years of experience or a uni degree. You can start demonstrating all of this as a beginner. You build your fundamentals by studying smart and practicing, not just reading theory, but actually writing code. A friend of mine say this, ABC, always be coding, right? You show a learning mindset by continuously picking up new skills and not being able to say, I need help when you actually do. You create a project or two to show competency and to prove your skills in action. You practice communication by writing about or discussing what you do, and you display reliability and passion by being consistent and aligning with the projects that you genuinely care about. This is exactly what I encourage in our bootcamp curriculum. For example, we emphasize pair programming and group projects to simulate real teamwork because it forces you to communicate and collaborate, which checks box number 4, right? We constantly update our curriculum with input from the industry, so you're learning relevant skills, but also how to learn, right? Which is what I mentioned just now, point number 2. We even run an in-house apprenticeship, meaning by the time our students graduate, they've already worked on a real project in a small team team setting for their capstone projects. So that gives them concrete stories to tell in interviews that cover all 5 of these qualities. You don't need to attend our program to do this, but you do need to be intentional about developing these areas on your own if you're self-studying. So it's 2025 right now when I'm making this video, and AI is everywhere. You might be wondering, with tools like ChatGPT or GitHub Copilot that can write code, are companies even going to hire junior developers? And if they do, are they looking for something different now? These are fair questions that I get every week. The landscape is changing so much today, but there's no denying that, right? AI can certainly assist in coding and automate some tasks. But let me reassure you, hiring managers still need human developers today, perhaps now more than ever, to be honest. In fact, what I've discussed so far becomes even more important in the AI era, and here's why. Critical thinking is king. AI can generate code, but it's the developer's job to decide what to build, how to integrate it, and why it's needed in the first place. Junior developers who can understand the problem and use first principles to design a solution will shine. You will likely be using AI as a tool, for example, to get suggestions or boilerplate code, but the final decision and responsibility still lies with you. So your problem-solving skills, which is what I mentioned, trait 1 just now, and your learning ability, trait 2 I mentioned just now, are crucial to navigate AI outputs and to verify them. The next thing I want to talk about is adaptability. It's so important because new AI frameworks, new APIs, or new tools come out seemingly every week and every month now. If you show that you can learn quickly, you become future-proof. Many companies are still figuring out how to integrate AI into their workflow. A junior developer who is savvy with AI, say for example, he knows how to use GitHub Copilot efficiently, or he's good with Cursor, they can write good prompts for a generator, they bring extra value. So don't shy away from it, embrace it, and add it to your learning list. Just remember, it's a supplement to your skills, not a replacement for understanding fundamentals. Please, this is the most important part of this video. Okay. Next thing would be human collaboration remain non-automatable. Teams still need to communicate ideas, brainstorm solutions, and support each other. AI will not attend your daily stand-up meeting for you or to explain to the designer why a certain feature is technically challenging. Those who can collaborate and communicate, trait number 4 I mentioned just now, will remain indispensable with or without a university degree. In fact, as technical grunt work becomes easier, the human skills, creativity, empathy, clear communication, they become the differentiators. Next would be the passion and drive will stand out so much more today. With rapid changes, the people who truly care about coding and the product will naturally keep up with the latest tools and best practices. If you show that enthusiasm, trait number 5 I mentioned just now, you assure employers that you will help them stay current. And I often mention to our students that AI is not going to replace you, but a developer who knows how to leverage AI is going to probably replace you. So be that guy, be that developer, be that girl, whatever, right? Show that you're aware of new trends and are proactively learning them. It might be something you mentioned in an interview that, I've been experimenting with this AI code generator to speed up a lot of my work on personal projects. That's a modern twist that tells the manager that you're forward thinking, you're up to date, and you're resourceful. And we cover all of this in our bootcamp. Don't worry. Right, to sum it up, the core qualities hiring managers look for haven't drastically changed in the AI era. If anything, the bar is slightly higher on things like adaptability and communication. The good news is those are exactly the areas within your control to improve. You can't change the fact that you're new to the field, but you can control your attitude, your effort, and how you use the tools at your disposal. Do this, and 2025 will greet you with more opportunities than obstacles. Okay, so finally, remember that your career is a marathon, not a sprint. I love running, and one thing it's taught me is the importance of pacing yourself. You don't have to learn everything in a day. Focus on consistently sustainable progress. The fact that you're watching or reading this tells me that you're serious about leveling up. Keep that curiosity alive. Keep throwing yourself into uncomfortable situations where growth happens. That mindset alone sets you apart from the average applicant. When I started building my companies back in 2020, I spent the first 2 years just figuring things out, honestly, exploring, failing, drowning a little bit, and learning. Right, by 2022 and 2023, I launched Sigma School officially and worked so hard to stabilize it. We've been running on a profitable model since 2024, and I even allowed myself a brief moment to chill when things got stable. But you know what? I realized I'm still young and I'm hungry for impact, so now I'm reinvesting in growth, building new products, hiring more talented people, taking bigger risks. My goal is to scale up our impact 10x, reaching around $20 million per year in revenue. And more importantly, thousands of students, thousands of success stories. And why am I telling you this? Because your journey in tech can scale up in a similar way. Maybe your first job will feel like stabilizing. You're just happy to get a junior role and to find your footing, but do not stop there. Once you find your groove, keep pushing, aim higher, whether it's mastering a new domain, taking on leadership of a small project or mentoring the next batch of newbies, the skills that get you your first job are going to be the same that will carry you to greater heights. Problem solving, learning nonstop, communicating well, being reliable, and taking initiative. If you focus on these fundamentals, you will not only land a job, but you'll thrive in your career for years to come. Hiring managers will notice on this potential. They're not just hiring you for what you can do today, but what you can become in a year or in 5 years, right? I've seen a junior developer that I hired go from barely contributing, right, to leading a project and then getting poached by a Singaporean tech firm for around $5,000 a month, which is a hefty salary for a junior developer from our region, right? He achieved that in part because he was relentless about learning and improving, and that could be you. So whether you're teaching yourself through online resources or going through a bootcamp like ours or any other bootcamps, keep these principles at the forefront. You absolutely can break into tech without a CS degree, and even today in the AI era, there is a huge demand for junior developers. Many of our students have done it, many others around the world has done it, and you can do it too. In this AI-powered, fast-changing 2025 tech landscape, opportunities are abundant for those who prepare and persevere. All right, so I hope that this has been helpful for you and gave you a clear idea what matters most to hiring managers and how to develop those traits in yourself. So I've spoken from my personal experience and from the collective wisdom of some incredible mentors and role models that I had in my life. At the end of the day, it boils down to this: be the kind of engineer you would want on your own team. Do that and the job offer will follow, I promise you. Yeah, that's all. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Now go out there and build something amazing, and don't be surprised when that dream developer job comes knocking your doors sooner than you think. See ya.